Hello everyone, George Schlackheck here.
The one and only.
That's not even my voice. In this video, I'm starting a new playlist titled Destinations Are Fake. That's also the title of my book. Now, when I chose the title for the book, it made perfect sense to me. However, the book is about bicycle touring, and it may not be instantly apparent when you see the book on the shelf for the first time. I'm thinking now that this might have been a mistake. It might have cost me sales. And this is also why I chose the title Bicycle Touring Talk for this video. I'm planning to make regular episodes on this title, and it'll cover the book in depth. See, this book is very personal. It covers how I discovered bicycle touring for myself and got hooked on it. I see the potential to inspire you, or perhaps someone you know, to try bicycle touring, and it can make big changes in your life also. I'd like to start off by mentioning what happened to me in November of 1982. I was involved in an accident and I got the short end of the stick. I was on a two-wheel. It was a motorcycle. I broke my femur in I don't know how many places. It was so bad, surgeons had to remove bone tissue from both my hips to reassemble that bone, and then they had to put a metal plate in there with 14 screws. It took a long time to heal and multiple surgeries. But as if that wasn't enough, the leg became septic after the operation, and I came this close to an amputation. So bicycle touring wasn't in the stars back then. However, cycling played a role in my recovery. And whenever I hear people say, well, I can't ride a bike because my legs are bad, my knees, my this and that. Well, I'm not trying to judge anybody, but as long as you have two legs, you can likely ride a bike. I mean, I've seen people with virtually perfect legs tell me that, oh, I have bad legs, I can't ride a bike. And I'm just shaking my head. It's your loss. See, bicycles are an amazing invention. They are matched to our anatomies so perfectly, which is what makes them work so well. And as I mentioned, the bicycle had a big role in my recovery. Later in life, though, I had forgotten about it. For about 9 years after age 38, I was a highway driver. For a long time, this occupation satisfied my need to travel. It wasn't a healthy lifestyle or anything, and soon I became disillusioned with the kind of travel I was doing. See, as a trucker, the pattern that you fall into can be described in 4 words: hurry up and wait. And obviously, there's nothing much to see in travel when you're always in a hurry. When you wait, on occasion, you get the opportunity to explore a place. But more often than not, you are stuck in an industrial park, waiting for a load, and you can't go anywhere. Not very exciting. After 9 years of this, I was done with trucking. I was burnt out. My outlook on life wasn't very good. My health was poor. I was going through a divorce. It wasn't a very good time. As an escape, I went to Cuba twice in the winter of 2009. Both times I went to low-end tourist traps with beautiful beaches, lots of other tourists just like me, lots of booze and Cuban cigars. I indulged so much that coming back to Canada after resulted in the worst hangovers I'd ever known. You ever had a hangover for a week? There was one experience though that probably set me up for a big change down the road. One day I met this man in Varadero who was sitting under a palm tree with a pile of coconuts, his bike leaning against the tree, old bicycle. And I got talking to him, even though my Spanish wasn't really good at that time. And Julio told me that he was hauling his coconuts from a nearby town that was 25 kilometers away on his bicycle every day to make some money. I ended up trading a pair of my jeans for 2 coconuts. Gotta help the man out, right? But see, what this did was the next day I found out about bicycle rental in town, went and rented a bike, and I rode it to Cardenas, where he was from. This was a 1-speed cruiser bike, probably made in China, that had seen better days. But something magic was keeping it going and going and going. And this was one of the most enjoyable days that I spent in Cuba. And that includes 2 bus trips to Havana and a lot of time on the beach. It was this bike trip that stayed with me forever. Cardenas was so much different from the tourist mecca of Varadero. I got to see an authentic Cuban town, see the way people live there, and I got to talk to some people as well, even though, like I said, my Spanish was poor. I also rode well over 50 kilometers that day after I hadn't ridden a bike in years, and I was tired at the end of the day. But the feeling of complete freedom while I was on that bike just going strong was almost overwhelming. Now you're gonna laugh. Freedom in Cuba? Well, sometimes freedom isn't what we imagine it to be. Later, when I had given up my one-man trucking business, sold the truck, I had no real outlook on life. The plan in the immediate future was for a bigger not a bigger mistake. The plan in the immediate future was for a bigger escape. Since I had already taken a liking to the Latin American culture, I had the idea that I wanted to spend an entire winter in Mexico, where I had never been before. At first, I was going to drive, but then I discovered somebody's blog about bicycle touring, and the idea just grew in my head. I should be going on a bike. A lot of people discouraged me from that. Number 1, Mexico had a reputation of being really dangerous. Number 2, I wasn't equipped for it. I had never done a bicycle tour. So in general, whenever I mentioned this to somebody, it was just, "You're crazy, George. Don't do that." Well, and I have to admit that that had an impact on me. You know, I had these visions in my head, me riding the bicycle in the mountains, not knowing where I am, then a car pulling up beside me with a bunch of yahoos jumping out, guns, and robbing me. However, I had already made up my mind, and I don't know what made me actually do this, but it's either that I was really stubborn, or perhaps I really didn't care at this point. I just wanted to get more out of life, and if it would mean that I would be in dangerous situations, maybe get kidnapped or killed, so be it. Well, over the next 6 months, I learned so much more than any school could have taught me. As you can see, I'm still here. I didn't get killed. What I learned is only partially about cycling and bicycle touring. But you could say that I learned about that activity the hard way, and there are absolutely no regrets, because I can tell you stories and experience things that even some experienced bicycle tourers won't. All of what I'll be talking about in this series, in this playlist, is 100% from personal experience. Now, you don't want to miss that. So I encourage you to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you won't. That'll be it for now. Oh, before I forget this, it's still available. Destinations Are Fake. It's on Amazon. It's a good read, I promise. Check it out. I'll see you next time.
To get your copy of Destinations Are Fake, check the link in the description.